Agric workers are warning that the plans to restrict the importation of some items may result in a significant increase in the prices of some foodstuff. Now, government is seeking Parliament's approval to restrict the importation of some 21 items to help reduce the country's import bill and grow the local economy. But these workers are also worried the development could result in some artificial food shortages on the market. Edward Kariwe is the General Secretary of the General Agriculture Workers Union.
You know, when you take an economy, it runs in two ways, imports and exports. You import what you cannot produce, or you import as raw materials to facilitate domestic production, or you import just because you want to conserve what you already have. For instance, there are some countries that have enough oil reserves, and yet they are not exploring it, but decide to import oil to use and protecting that for the future. So reasons are there for imports. You can import to produce, to support domestic production, or you can import to meet situations. Now, when you take Ghana's situation, why do we import? Look, we have just allowed imports to be the order of the day as an easier, policy direction to stimulate development. When in the actual fact, you cannot use imports alone to stimulate development. It must be backed by production. So no one would disagree with government in principle that we should put in place measures to reduce imports. But when you are putting in place measures on the back of government-owned policies which have undermined production, immediately after a policy that has undermined production, domestic production, then you create a very difficult situation in the economy. For instance, the discounted benchmark value policy, which was implemented by government since 2019. And the last time, the time that government actually put it off was in 2023 budget. Now, for all these years, it has undermined domestic production. So a year after you have used a policy to undermine domestic production, weaken capacity of domestic industries to produce, you quickly then come back and say, look, I am going to do what? Restrict imports. When you do that, the likelihood of prices going up is very high because you have not actually nurtured, supported the domestic producers to increase their capacity to be able to meet the shortfall that the imports will bring. So that could be problematic. And so no one will say that we should not put restrictions.
It's a good thing, but the timing and previous policies have raised a lot of question marks about. That's what I get from you.
Yes. If I cite an example here, the poultry industry, per our own statistics, over 70% of it is collapsed now. Poultry industry.
Why?
Because over the period, poultry industry producers could not get the raw materials to sustain their production. Cost of maize was beyond their reach. The soya was beyond their reach. Other necessary ingredients that is needed to support the production was beyond their reach. They made a lot of cry. Government did not. Government still promoted the importation of poultry products, into the country. We are all aware about the La Bianca case, where it was about exemptions for importation of poultry products into this country. Now, suddenly, after you have collapsed about 70% of it, you wake up and see that we are going to restrict the importation.
So